Hi everyone, my name is Gautam Gupta and I want to welcome you all to my YouTube channel, Universal Fundamentals. In this video, I'm going to continue my series on the 2025 Vedic Astrology yearly predictions for all of the 12 ascendants and moon signs and how these planetary transits will be affecting you based on your ascendant and moon sign. In this video, I will be talking about Gemini ascendants and moon signs. Now, 2025 is going to be a monumental year because all of the slower moving planets will be changing signs at some point in 2025. And this is going to bring huge shifts to everyone's life depending on what your ascendant and moon sign are. And when I talk about slower moving planets, I am talking about the nodes Rahu and Ketu, Jupiter, as well as Saturn. All of these planets will be shifting signs in the coming year of 2025. And in fact, Jupiter will travel through three signs as it will be moving pretty quickly in 2025. Now, before I begin this discussion in detail, I do want to remind everyone to please check out my website, universal-fundamentals.com, where you can learn more about me and what I do as a Vedic astrologer. You can also check out the various services that I offer, and I will be leaving links down below so you all can check that out in more detail. I also want to remind everyone that I do practice sidereal Vedic astrology and not Western tropical astrology. Also, if you find this video to be helpful and useful, please give it a thumbs up by hitting the like button and subscribing to my channel. Doing so will really help me out with the YouTube algorithm so this video can reach a vast audience. So with that being said, I will now begin discussing how all of these planetary transits will affect a Gemini ascendant and or moon sign for the year 2025. So the first important transit I want to start discussing for a Gemini ascendant and or moon sign is that transiting Saturn will continue to remain in your ninth house of Aquarius until March 29th of 2025. And this tells me that your luck, fortune, and spiritual progress will be growing quite nicely throughout the final part of this transit. I also see you getting along with your father quite nicely, and interactions with him, as well as with your teachers, will continue to remain formal and respectful. This is also a transit where I see you finishing up your higher education courses as you bring certain aspects of these to closure. Now, with Saturn's third aspect to your 11th house, this does tell me that there could continue to be some disconnect with an older sibling, friend, or something related to your social groups or organizations. Or this simply tells me that you will have to apply some extra effort to maintain good standing with these people. You will have to put in the effort to understand where these people are coming from and note their perspectives. This will allow you to not only grow as a person, but also foster deeper connections within your network circles. And with Saturn's seventh aspect to your third house, this tells me that your younger siblings may continue to need your attention at this time. So it will be important to address these issues rationally. Also, there could be some temporary delays when traveling short distances, so it will be important to account for that as well. And finally, with Saturn's 10th aspect to your 6th house, this tells me that you will be continuing to focus on your health and well-being. There will also be some karmic obligations towards your coworkers and or employees if you're still working. Now, normally Saturn's 10th aspect to the 6th house indicates challenges to that particular house. However, because transiting Jupiter in Taurus is also aspecting the 6th house, this is creating a point of manifestation. So therefore, you will continue to have opportunities to flourish in your 6th house matters of coworkers, employees, health matters, and or pets. This point of manifestation in your 6th house of Scorpio will continue until March 29th of 2025, which is when Saturn transits to the sign of Pisces. Now, the next important transit I want to discuss for a Gemini ascendant and or moon sign is that transiting Jupiter will continue to remain in your 12th house of Taurus until May 14th of 2025. And a very important event that is occurring on February 4th of 2025 is that transiting Jupiter will be turning direct at 17 degrees of Taurus. So if you happen to have a planet that is around 14 to 20 degrees of Taurus, Virgo, Scorpio, and or Capricorn, then you are going to have many blessings, successes, and opportunities blossoming due to any opportunities you may have seized during the first 2 weeks of July 2024. This will be incredible for things related to your fourth house matters, such as your mother, home life, sense of security, and success with real estate, property, and vehicle matters. This will also be beneficial for your sixth house matters, such as your relationship with coworkers and or employees. It will also be great for your overall health and relationship with any pets. This will also be great for your eighth house matters, such as your relationships with your in-laws and or joint assets if you guys are married. I see a great increase in your joint assets once Jupiter turns direct, and this will really enhance your financial situation if you guys are married. You may even get some great insights into the areas of occult sciences, mysticism, astrology, numerology, or even psychology, and this can help you grow on a spiritual level. Now, another important transit I want to mention is that transiting Venus will be exalted in your 10th house of Pisces from January 27th of 2025 until May 30th of 2025. And while it is in the sign of Pisces, it will be forming a mutual exchange with transiting Jupiter, which is in your 12th house of Taurus until May 14th of 2025. Now, the reason why I want to talk about Venus being in Pisces is because this is going to be a special transit. Venus normally stays in one sign for about a month, but this time it will be staying in the sign of Pisces for about 4 months, which is due to the fact that transiting Venus will be turning retrograde from March 2nd, 2025 until April 14th of 2025. And while Venus remains direct in your 10th house, this will really help elevate your career to a whole new level. You will find yourself getting along extremely well with the people you're working with, and you're going to find a sense of harmony, cooperation, and to a certain extent, even some devotion coming from the people you work with, including your bosses. This is also great for your social standing and reputation. Now, one thing you have to be aware of is that Venus will turn retrograde from March 2nd of 2025 until April 14th of 2025. And this will be a transit where you have to exercise caution and care. You will have to be extremely careful with the way you come across to other people within the workplace. And this especially applies to any female coworkers or bosses that you work with. Please be aware that there can be a lot of conflicts arising during this Venus retrograde, and some of these situations may be beyond your control. So it will be extremely important to focus on the areas you can control and let go of the areas that are beyond your control. So please refrain from getting into any major arguments or fights while Venus is retrograde because things will most likely not work out in your favor. However, once Venus turns direct, things will start improving and getting back to normal. So keep all of this in mind as you navigate this extremely long Venus and Pisces transit for the year 2025. Now, while Venus is going to be in your 10th house of Pisces, it is going to be conjunct with Rahu in your 10th house, and Ketu is going to be in your 4th house of Virgo until May 29th of 2025. And this transit is going to prompt you to continue to really focus on your career opportunities, social standing, as well as your reputation. You will continue to maintain a certain level of success, fame, and recognition while Rahu is in your 10th house of Pisces. However, an extremely important part about this transit is that starting March 29th of 2025, transiting Saturn will also join Rahu in your 10th house of Pisces, and this is going to really change things to a completely different level. And for these next 2 months, you may run into some temporary obstacles within the workplace, and this is because Rahu and Saturn are not friends with each other. Remember, Rahu is a planet that wants it all and wants it now. However, Saturn is a planet that restricts. Now, the good thing is that Rahu and Saturn both do well in the 10th house since they're both malefics. So I do think you will continue to have success within your career. But you will have to exercise patience if things are not going the way you want them to. However, the good news is that once Rahu breaks out of this conjunction after May 29th of 2025, transiting Saturn in the 10th house itself will continue to bring you luck and fortune when it comes to your career, social standing, and reputation. But it will come at a slow and steady pace. Now, with Saturn's third aspect to your 12th house, this tells me that you will be putting a lot of effort in order to ensure that you are controlling your expenses. And if you are thinking about doing some international or foreign traveling over the course of this transit, then be prepared for some long journeys. However, I do think you'll gain a lot from these experiences. And while Jupiter is in the 12th house until May 14th of 2025, I do see a certain amount of protection when it comes to managing your expenses or engaging in any foreign traveling. And this will be due to the fact that Saturn's third aspect to your 12th house and Jupiter transiting the 12th house of Taurus until May 14th of 2025 is providing a point of manifestation. So I do think just for that time frame, you will be protected when it comes to your expenses and international traveling. However, once Jupiter leaves the sign of Taurus, then you will have to be extremely careful when it comes to managing your expenses and or engaging in foreign traveling. Then, with Saturn's seventh aspect to your fourth house, this tells me that you will be focusing a lot of your attention when it comes to your mother, domestic life, and issues related to your real estate, properties, and vehicles. There could be some issues that come in these areas, and it will be important to tactfully address them. However, the good news is that Saturn is your ninth Lord ruling planet, so I do think a lot of good will ultimately come out of it when it comes to your fourth house matters. And also, another good news is that up until May 14th of 2025, Jupiter will also cast its fifth aspect to your fourth house. So you are going to have a good amount of protection and stability when it comes to your domestic life, mother, as well as matters related to your real estate, property, and vehicles. However, once transiting Jupiter leaves the sign of Taurus after May 14th of 2025, you will have to be extra careful when it comes to dealing with your fourth house matters. You will have to exercise extra caution and due diligence. However, once again, because Saturn is your ninth Lord ruling planet, you will ultimately benefit from these areas. And finally, with Saturn's 10th aspect to your seventh house, this tells me that there could be some karmic obligations that you may have towards your business partnerships and or significant other. This can even be a time when you enter into a relationship, which is either business or personal, that ends up being extremely karmic in nature. But you are going to learn so much about what it's like to be in a committed relationship where you actually serve one another. And as a result, you both will form an extremely deep and strong connection that will last for a very long time. So I do think you'll be focusing a lot of your time on this area. Now, the good news is that after May 14th, 2025, transiting Jupiter will enter the sign of Gemini, which is in your first house, and it will cast its seventh aspect to your seventh house of Sagittarius, and this will create a point of manifestation. So while transiting Jupiter is in the sign of Gemini, this will actually give you great opportunities to connect with your business partners and or significant others in a very meaningful way. Now, one thing I do want to mention about the Saturn transit in Pisces is that the Rahu and Saturn conjunction in the sign of Pisces will last from March 29th of 2025 until May 29th of 2025. Then after May 29th of 2025, transiting Saturn will remain in the sign of Pisces up until June 2nd of 2027. And then it will return back into the sign of Pisces from October 20th of 2027, and it will stay there until February 22nd, 2028. Now, the next important transit that I want to talk about is that transiting Jupiter will enter your first house of Gemini on May 15th of 2025, and it will go through the entire sign of Gemini throughout the next 5 months. So after October 18th of 2025, transiting Jupiter will briefly enter your second house of Cancer, but it will return back into the sign of Gemini on December 5th of 2025, and it will remain in your first house of Gemini until June 1st of 2026. And while Jupiter is in your first house of Gemini, this is going to open up many opportunities for your self-development, confidence, and new beginnings. You are going to be entering into a whole new chapter of your life, and this chapter is going to be filled with opportunities, optimism, and positive energy. You are going to have an extraordinary sense of self-confidence, and this will allow you to achieve major success and even fulfill some long-lasting dreams you were having. These areas in your life are going to move forward very quickly since Jupiter will transit the entire sign within 5 months. And this will allow you to really get things done quickly regarding your first house areas. Now, with Jupiter's fifth aspect to your fifth house, this tells me that children and investments are also going to be a huge focus point in your life. If you don't have children but are thinking about having them, then this is a great opportunity and year for it to happen if you're at an appropriate age. If you're if you already have kids, then I see you developing a much deeper connection and stronger bond with one another. This is also a great transit to take a risk in your speculative investments. If you find an appropriate asset that you think will significantly increase in value, then don't be afraid to take that calculated risk because I think it's going to immensely pay off in the long run. Then, with Jupiter's seventh aspect to your seventh house, this tells me that relationships will be going extremely well for you, and this can be related to your business partners and or significant other. And if you are single, then I see a very strong relationship blossoming throughout these next 5 months, which will leave you extraordinarily happy and fulfilled. And with Saturn's 10th aspect to your seventh house, this is forming a point of manifestation, which tells me that your relationships are here to successfully stay for the long haul. And finally, with Jupiter's ninth aspect to your ninth house, this tells me that you will become extremely close to your father and teachers throughout the next 5 months. I see you guys getting along extremely well, and you will have extremely meaningful and deep conversations that will help form a strong bond and connection. This is also an excellent opportunity to begin a higher education course or travel long distance. I feel a sense of fulfillment and completion within yourself if you choose to pursue these ninth house areas. This will also be a great transit for your spiritual development and progress as well. Now, the next important transit that I will be discussing for a Gemini ascendant and or moon sign is that transiting Rahu will be going into your ninth house of Aquarius, and transiting Ketu will be going into your third house of Leo starting on May 29th of 2025. And it is going to remain in these signs until November 24th of 2026. And this is going to create another big shift when it comes to your younger siblings, neighbors, short distance travel plans, social media projects, your father, teachers, higher education courses, and even your spiritual development. Now, with transiting Ketu into your third house of Leo, this tells me that you may feel a sense of disconnect with your younger siblings and or neighbors. You may be spending less time with them due to certain circumstances that are beyond your control. Or you may be having some disagreements than usual when you don't see things eye to eye. In either case, you will have to devote more time than usual if you want to maintain a good connection. Also, any social media projects or projects related to your short stories and articles may take a lot of your time if you want to see success. But with hard work and determination, you will be able to make it happen. Now, with Ketu's fifth aspect to your seventh house, this tells me that you will take a much more spiritual approach when it comes to interacting and connecting with your business partners and or significant other. And this will help cultivate a deeper understanding with one another, especially since Jupiter in Gemini is aspecting your seventh house as well until October 18th of 2025. Now, with Ketu's ninth aspect to your 11th house, this tells me that you may feel a sense of disconnect with your older siblings, friends, and social network circles. You may be spending less time with them due to certain circumstances that might be beyond your control. Or you may have more disagreements than usual where you see things differently. In either case, you will have to devote more time to these areas if you want to maintain a successful relationship. Then, with transiting Rahu into your ninth house, this tells me that you will be spiritually reinventing yourself and coming with dynamic ways to connect with your father and teachers. You may also be reevaluating your spiritual beliefs and may come across new teachers who can help shift your thinking to a whole new level. However, you just need to make sure that you are being guided on the right path and that you're not being misguided in any way. You may even come up with unorthodox ways to reinvent yourself when it comes to your higher education studies as well. And another important aspect about this transit is that while transiting Jupiter is in your first house of Gemini, transiting Rahu in your ninth house will be casting its fifth aspect to transiting Jupiter in your first house. And in return, transiting Jupiter will cast its ninth aspect to your ninth house of Aquarius, where Rahu is, which is forming a mutual aspect. And they will both be aspecting your fifth house, which represents your children and speculative gains. This means that there are going to be lots of opportunities for massive gains in your speculative ventures. So don't be afraid to take any calculated risks during this transit because I think this is going to elevate your financial standing to a whole new level. I also see you continuing to focus on your attention on your children throughout this mutual trine transit. So keep all of this in mind as you go through this transit. Now, the final transit I want to discuss for a Gemini ascendant and or moon sign is that transiting Jupiter will briefly enter your second house of Cancer from October 18th until December 5th, 2025. And it will turn retrograde on November 11th, 2025 at just under 1 degree of Cancer. So while Jupiter is transiting your second house during this short window of time, this is actually going to give you a preview as to what to expect when transiting Jupiter officially enters your second house of Cancer again later in 2026. So I want you to really pay attention to the events that do happen over the course of these 6 weeks because you will end up receiving the blessings and opportunities of these events in the summer of 2026 when Jupiter officially re-enters the sign of Cancer. So when Jupiter enters your second house of Cancer for these 6 weeks, you may be presented with several opportunities to expand your financial standing as well as your relationships with family members. I do think you will have some opportunities to connect with family members that you haven't spoken to in a long time. But since Jupiter will go back into Gemini in early December, the connection between you and the family members will be temporary. However, once Jupiter enters the sign of Cancer in the summer of 2026, you will be successfully able to form amazing connections with your family members and you will prosper financially. Now, with Jupiter's fifth aspect to your sixth house, this will give you a preview of how your interactions with employees and coworkers will be like during the summer of 2026. It's very possible that you may be introduced to these people during the 6-week time frame when Jupiter initially enters the sign of Cancer. You may have a chance to interview these people and get to know them. And once Jupiter re-enters the sign of Cancer, it is very possible that these same people will be working with you professionally. And I think you guys will get along extremely well during this transit. Then, with Jupiter's 7th aspect to your 8th house, this will give you a preview of how you'll be interacting with your in-laws if you happen to be married. And for those of you who are engaged and will be getting married soon, you may be meeting your in-laws during the 6-week time frame when Jupiter initially enters the sign of Cancer. This will give you an opportunity to really get to know each other on a personal level. Then, once Jupiter re-enters the sign of Cancer, then I think you guys will form an extremely strong connection and bond with one another. This is also a transit where you may be introduced to some new knowledge regarding occult sciences, mysticism, astrology, numerology, and even psychology. Then once Jupiter enters the sign of Cancer again in the summer of 2026, you will have complete exposure and experiences regarding these topics. And finally, with Jupiter's 9th aspect to your 10th house, this will give you a preview of some major career opportunities coming your way. And these opportunities are going to elevate your professional life, social standing, and reputation in a very big way. Then, once Jupiter re-enters the sign of Cancer during the summer of 2026, you will officially see a lot of expansion in this area. For some of you, this can mean a major promotion, significantly increases your pay, or it can mean a completely new job offer that offers you a significantly higher salary compared to your old job. So this is what I wanted to cover regarding what's going to happen for a Gemini ascendant and or moon sign for the year 2025. I hope you guys got something out of this. Once again, if you found this video to be useful, please give it a thumbs up by hitting the like button. Doing so will really help me out with the YouTube algorithm so this video can reach a vast audience. Also, if you're new to my channel and would like to see similar videos like this in the future, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on that bell notification. And if you would like to know more about me and what I do as a Vedic astrologer, please check out my website, universal-fundamentals.com. Thank you so much, everybody, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care.